Hey. And we are live. Welcome to the Turaco Creative Cast. Uh, Hello, Turacoteers. Let me check the comments. I did see we had some people here. We have Dell in the chats and me. I am
Welcome.
there too. And there's 6 people watching. Thanks everyone for stopping by. We have 2 special guests. And, before we get to that, let's introduce myself. I am Frank Salazar, aka Captain Goggles, and you can find my stuff on Salazar Art Nation. I do have a link tree. Let's go link tree and Turaco Comics. Everything is there. Everything Turaco related, and it's there somewhere.
I think
Okay.
it might have frozen.
I have a bunch of links here. I need to start editing out. I see I have like 3 links for Anna. There, you could go to my old one. It's everything's still there, active. Yeah, you can find all my stuff there. I'm on Instagram under Salazar Nation. I'm on Twitter at Nation Salazar, and mostly there I just kind of post like links and stuff that I post on Instagram. And also I'm on Facebook. You can find me there as well. And my co-host, right here. You can introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Anna Raub,
What?
aka Mask Woman. There's the link. And all the linky stuff can be found at the link tree. And I'm Dream Hatchling as well on different social media platforms, and I'm still working on a website. So keep an eye out for that. And today we've got 2 special guests. I thought there was going to be one, and then I found out Peter Palmiotti's going to be here. So awesome, brain blown.
Peter is a friend of the show, and he's always welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Let me find Peter's. I just did all this. Sorry guys, I'm so professional right
now. Welcome, Dale. Welcome, everybody watching.
There we go.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys in the chats.
Yeah, I am Peter Palmiotti everywhere on the internet. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube mostly. And I do stuff like ink books, like we're going to be talking about later.
What? You're also Peter Palmiotti off online also.
That's true. In real life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you retro also in offline or only online?
I've always been retro.
Because you usually go by Peter Retro. And we have Mark Torres. And
yes, hi.
Mark, tell us a little bit.
Hi, I am Mark Torres from Came from Radio, officially Big Apple Con. I'm also the writer and creator of the new Kickstarter book we have out now, which is called Designated. I've been into comics forever, and this is my chance to try to get this book out there after almost 30 years.
Awesome.
Wow. Cool. And there is an interview that Mark sent me, and I was looking at that earlier. I put it in the show notes along with the Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter link is pinned in the comments. So if you want to go check that out, and I'm sure we'll look at it a little later. And all right, so before we get into the show, I got a special mail delivery today. This is from Dee Willingham. She is a big supporter of the show. And Peter, you know Dee, right?
Yeah, she sent you gloves. What'd you get?
She got the other fingers of the glove.
Yeah, she saw I was missing the finger, so she sent me the other one.
Just the missing part. 3 fingers.
Yeah, just the fingers. Okay, so she's.
You realize if you can sell that, that'd be a genius. You would make a glove, cut it in half, and then sell it in 2 parts.
I bet you could. That actually would be a great gag gift.
Okay, guys, I'm trying to show Didi stuff. So she sent some of her art print cards. art card prints.
Very cool.
And
Nice.
oh, I see what's for Anna right here. I don't know if this is, but it has a butterfly.
Oh,
But
very pretty.
I know this is for Anna. So it's a mask.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool. Like a masquerade mask.
Yeah.
And you see it has the hand.
And oh wow, this is some cool stuff here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And a rooster.
Nice.
Thanks, Edie.
Edie's always making something.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Check out her YouTube channel. She streams
Very
different stuff
often.
like yeah, almost daily, right? I think Didi, she's in
I believe so.
the chat, so you can tell us. Dale, if you can go find her channel and put that in the links.
Super cool.
Dale says he likes the rooster, so I'll send this off to you, Anna. And
Thank you, and thank you, Didi.
let me
Very nicely
check
done, Didi.
the cards because I think there's more stuff in here.
Oh, there you go. Didi says she streams Monday and Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
There you go.
And thank you for posting the time too.
We got people from all over.
Yeah.
With the time zone.
Speaking of time, this is one of her prints. The clock.
Oh, check that out.
Sweet.
This is really cool. All right, I'll put this here. All right. Let's get to the show. I'm saying our guest today is Mark Torres, and he has a Kickstarter designated. And Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about designated? You said it took you. This was something you've been working on for 30 years.
So yes. Mm-hmm. So you want the short version or the long version?
Both.
All right.
Whatever you prefer.
Since I was born, always wanted to be in comics. That's the one thing I always wanted to do. Never want to do anything else. And I thought at the time, young Mark, that the artist was the one that created the story and the characters. I went to a comic book school in Manhattan, the New York Academy of Comic Book Arts and Fantasy Illustration in the 90s. And that was when I learned about being the comic book industry, and the writer is the person that actually does all this stuff. So I was like, well, then I want to be a writer. And I also found out at the comic book school that I was a better writer than I was an artist. And I also found out that I was that I pencil like an inker. That was what I was told. So at the time, which is the 90s, the big explosion of Image Comics. So it was no longer just the big two. And what they decided what the conversation was at the time was, if you want to get hired by them, you would probably have to work on their characters, or if you make a character, they would probably wind up owning it. So the question was, how do you make something that people won't steal? And the idea is you don't. You make something that you're willing to give up, to lose a little bit, to get your foot in the door, and then you can make your own projects and decide what comics you want to make. So I had made my comic idea way back when, and I was like, this is my baby. I'm going to hold on to it, but I have to make something else to get my foot in the door. And at the time, I was told by the school, you get about $2,000 together, you can make and print your own comic book of 90s money, about $2,000. I was like, yeah, that seems easy enough. And obviously it wasn't, because then I would have made my own comic book 30 years ago. So I came up with this idea to go anti-big, which was in the 90s. I wrote the story, 110 pages, beginning, middle, end. I got a friend of mine 30 years ago, well, within the 30 years, so we'll say 28, 25 years. It's a friend of mine from high school. His brother wanted to draw. So he was like, I'll draw it. So he drew all 110 pages way back when. Then I was like, great, now I'm halfway there. Let me find an inker. And I ran into Pete at a convention, and I got into And how long has it been? Like 20 years for you? How long have you been involved in this?
2006? I don't know, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so we'll say 15, 16 years.
Wow.
that you worked on some of the pages, and then stuff happens and deals and stuff falling apart, plans change, people deaths and all kinds of stuff. Life happens, prevents it from happening, and now thanks to the pandemic, which is weird, crowdfunding exploded. So now the opportunity came out that I could go on to crowdfunding and try to get this book finally published.
Awesome.
Nice, cool.
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask how Peter got involved. So it's cool.
I found him. He was at a convention. He had a sign, "Will ink for food."
I did not.
It was for cash.
Yeah, we met at a convention, and he told me he was working on a book or something, and I asked to see it, and I loved the artist's work. So I was like, I'd love to be a part of this. And after Mark calling me over and over, and no,
please,
up, but yeah. At this point right now, it's like I did a bunch of pages then, but right now I have the first issue totally inked and various pages of issue 2 and 3 inked. But we're crowdfunding the first issue, and I'll be working on more. I'm more focused on issue 2 right now. So,
and along the way, I just dumped them the whole 110 pages. Like, here you go. So when you're working on it, you don't do it in order. You're like, oh, what looks like a good piece to ink, right? Am I wrong or right on that?
I am doing the whole thing, and I don't know. When I got all the pages, they might have been on order, but we were looking for certain pages, and they got disheveled, and I started working on whatever looked good next.
Okay.
But yeah,
how many?
Go ahead, Frank.
Sorry. Well, I was gonna ask Mark, how many issues is this? I know right now it's the first one, but how many issues are you planning?
We have this whole story, 110 pages. So it was originally designed as 5 separate issues. But then conversations like, well, if you have the whole story, you have all the pencils, why don't you just make it as a graphic novel? I was like, all right. But it was always written as 5 separate issues. But it's one whole story. So it's 110 page, beginning, middle, end. That's it. Call it a day.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And one of the things that
because I did read something that was 5 pages. So I mean,
5 issues. So one of the things that we have the ability to do, which is very different for most Kickstarter campaigns, is that if we get to certain stretch goals, we can give you the 2nd issue and a 3rd issue and a 4th issue within the one campaign. That's something that hardly anybody else can do. Usually they work at one at a time, but we have, like I said, stories written, 110 pages, penciled 20-somewhat years ago, and the pencils still hold up. Like if you look at the pencils now, you wouldn't know that they were drawn 20-something years ago.
Wow. So you're ahead.
Yeah. The art still stands.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So we got a message from CB here. So I decided to do some art cards for CB. So this is what he's replying to, and I got the cards here.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So there might be something for a perk for the campaign. So
we can plug his stuff too.
Get these
because I'm part of that too. So not
looking
more.
forward to Wildcat.
So that is in the description. Wildcat is in the description as well because I've been plugging it the last few weeks. I just keep it in my description, so it's there.
Yeah.
So we got
awesome.
Sketch
That's on Indiegogo right now.
Yep, Indiegogo. Wildcat Anthology, Book 1 or
got the werewolf by Abe
Check
Abe
it
Pearsons. And check this out, the Chainsaw Ninja. One of them.
I love that idea.
and this is actually it's black light, so I use highlighter, so it'll glow under a black light.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
It's one of them special cards.
All right.
So now I have to ask: is the chainsaw like quiet when he pulls it because he's a ninja?
No, that's the whole point. We had a show with CB, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, where he was talking about the Chainsaw Ninja. So these are failed ninjas from the Yakuza that their punishment is to go on missions with chainsaws. So it's pretty much suicide missions because you're supposed to be quiet and just like that. So how can you do that with a chainsaw? And that is why also they wear yellow and orange, so it's a bright neon colors. So it's designed so they will fail the mission or they will be killed doing the mission. So that's why they're like that. So and
it's like
when
Robin, the
they told me the color scheme, I was like, and that's why I grabbed some highlighters, and it actually looks pretty cool. So I posted it on Instagram, the glow version, so it's up on there if anyone wants to check it out. But, yeah.
That's funny.
And Creed says Peter's inking at least one page of every comic being made right now. Yes. Seems like it.
Welcome, Creed. Welcome, Marsh.
Yeah, welcome, Marsh. And Creed.
Yeah.
And thank you, Dale, for posting that.
Oh,
yeah, check that out.
Oh, cool. Marsh is here. Nice. We got a full chat. So you have a radio station. So how did that start?
So the radio show.
Is it something you were doing already? And yeah, radio show.
The radio show came out of the comic book school. I met the colorist on the first issue. I met him at the school, and one day I was driving home from the cemetery, and I heard on the radio, "Hey, if you have a passion for something and you want to interview people in the field, why don't you get a radio show?" And I thought, well, this is a good way to network and to meet other comic book creators and get my book published. So like I said, I was always wanting to get the book published, and this was just a roundabout way to get the book published. Just so happened that the show took off, and we've been doing this almost 20 years. The first show we did was, and I always remember this, only because of the subject matter that we had talked about, and that was the brand new Daredevil movie starring Ben Affleck. It came out in 2003 in February.
Okay.
That's why I know first show was in 2003 in February.
Yeah, I was a part of that show back then.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of Daredevil?
I remember that I didn't care
for
it
if anyone.
And I thought, even though that Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck had chemistry, the movie was not that good.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, they had used a lot of CG that really wasn't up to today's standards. Even back then, it felt kind of rushed because, as I found out years later, it was because they were supposed to do a lot of wire work and in-suit acting on that movie. But because of how popular the Spider-Man movie was, they decided to go CG. And so you kind of lost a lot of stuff. It was kind of rushed. That's what we thought about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take yours.
I'm actually thinking about when we have our 20th anniversary, which is going to be next year in February, that we might review the movie again.
Do a reunion show.
Yeah, we're planning on doing a reunion show, and then we might review the movie again to see how far we've come.
Nice.
We'll do a whole full-length reaction.
Speaking of anniversary, speaking of anniversaries, Anna and I were just talking about this. I think was it earlier today, Anna? Or
yeah, I think
we've
it
been
was
streaming for about
today or
2
yesterday.
years, going on, and it actually this month in a couple of weeks it's going to be 3 years. I think it's on the 19th. Not on the Turaco, but streaming all together from the old show.
Right.
That we started, and then we made
Not the
Captain
Artcast.
Turaco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it's
like,
not the Artcast.
Ikbinta or something. I can't believe
Yeah.
it's not the Artcasters.
You kids were so young back then.
The time does fly, right?
Well, the format was different.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're mentioning, behind before the show started, you interviewed William Shatner. Is there other celebrities that stand out to you that you've interviewed over the years?
The focus has always tried to been the independent creators, but we have had an occasional big time celebrity. William Shatner was probably the biggest. We had Mark Hamill on. If you're a Power Ranger fan, we've had a lot of Power Rangers. The biggest one, I guess, would be Amy Jo Johnson, and then we've had Jason David Frank, who would be the follow up of the how popular and famous they are in the levels. Let me think. There was a couple of comic book guys. We've had the head of New York Comic Con was a guest on the show, and actually we've had the current head of New York Comic Con last year.
So just the head, not the bodies.
Just the head, floating head. Exactly.
I had the thumb of. Oh wait.
That's good. Sorry, I think I derailed everything. That's what made that joke. That joke just stopped.
Let's talk about the book.
Yeah, let's talk about the book. Oh, if you want to screen share the Kickstarter, and I can start showing the campaign.
You want to do that, Mark?
Is that directed to us or to one of you guys?
To you guys. Anna doesn't.
Okay, sure.
I don't think Anna has the link.
I will pull that up in 2 seconds.
It's directed to my chat.
Share screen. Here, go there. This is me learning.
I actually do have the link.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'm on PC.
There you go. I got it up there.
All right. You see it there. I'm adding it now.
Boom.
Check it out.
All right, so I don't know if I could scroll and talk at the same time. It's like chewing gum and walking or rubbing your head or something. There you go. So basically, we have main page, a little video. One of the things we made sure to do with the video, I'll actually play it without the sound. I explain everything in the video, but one of the important things was to make sure everybody knows that we have the pages. So
yeah, but
as you can see, I talk about it, and then I just describe the entire what the book's about. 110 pages, but this is only for the first issue as of right now. It's 2 warring alien races. We have the Forlons, which are the good guys, the classic, what do you call them? The green skin aliens, the ones that we always think are the ones visiting this planet.
Oh, okay.
And then we have
the little green men.
The little green men. And they have the warlike Dronians, which is that guy right there. That's the king of the warlike evil Dronians. And they're having a fight.
Ooh.
And they learned about this new power source called the Capricious Star. And they decided, the little green men decide that the best way to save the world from the Dronians taking over, because they're losing the battle, is that they take the gems and they hide it. So they find their way to Earth. And that's where our main characters come in. So you have the 5 characters, which is Natasha, Ed, Chris, Kelly, and Adam. And like I said, this was back in the 90s. As you can see, all these pages were drawn back then. So you can see they still kind of hold up. It's pretty darn good stuff. And Pete's Inks has been consistent.
Absolutely.
Through the time, which is amazing if you think about it, that you're going back all that time and you have to kind of match up what you did back then. So you
I
can't
suck
tell.
as much as I did back then. Yeah.
It's like reprising a role. Like you're stepping back into that role. You have to go back into that mindset of who you were back then.
Yes.
So all the characters gain
Nice.
powers.
Wow. Look at this.
Very low key powers of what they can do. So you have the main character, which is Natasha. She was based off of Britney Spears at the time, and her power has the enhanced gut. So as everybody knows, you always have that little voice that you hear, or you have your gut instinct that tells you stuff to do, right? So go down right here to the guys. So she has an enhanced ability where the little voice is always telling her the right thing to do. So you always decide if you listen to it, don't listen to it. She listens to it. And she also has her gut instinct, which gives her split-second decisions. So in a situation where you have to make a choice, she'll be able to make the correct choice all the time. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that the correct choice will always lead to something good. It's just out of the choices that you have available, the best one is possible. We move up to this guy here, which is Adam. He was based off of Power Ranger character Adam, Johnny on Bosch. I was a big Adam fan. Remember, it was the 90s. And he has mind over matter. So basically his power is when under duress, you have the ability to have enhanced strength, enhanced speed, enhanced endurability, endurance, and recovery. So for example, if you're late to catch a bus and you're trying to run to catch the bus, he'll be able to gain that extra speed of the upper limit human strength of what's now. So I always used Usain Bolt because he's the fastest man alive, as we know right now. So he can run as fast or a little faster than Usain Bolt under duress. Or you can figure out the world's strongest man, how much you can bench press. He can do that when under duress. Then we move up to Kelly, which is my favorite character because of her powers. She's a teenage girl, and I'm sure you can correct me if I'm wrong. They're kind of full of emotions, right?
It depends on the girl.
No comment.
So her ability is to be able to absorb the strongest emotion in her immediate area and then redirect it back out to everybody else. So, for example, if you're in a bar and a bar fight breaks out and people get heated and angry, she will feel angry but not know why, and then everybody else around her will also feel angry and not know why. One of the things that I kind of did
So
for
she's
the story,
bipolar.
one of the things I kind of did for the story was to not talk down to the audience and don't explain stuff. So things explain themselves as you read the book. You're like, oh, well, that's why this happened. But no one says, oh, by the way, you can do this, you can do that, because that's not how it really would work if you actually did gain powers. You just kind of have to figure it out and stuff, just weird stuff happening. So we have Chris here. He is based off of his name was actually my best friend when I was a kid growing up. His name was Chris Hughes, so that's why I got his name. And there was a movie I saw, The Day After Tomorrow, and I'm like, I want to look like that guy. It was the black guy in that movie, and I was like, if I'm casting a movie, he's the guy. So that's where his design and look comes from. And he has the power of a mega memory. So basically, you think of photographic memory, which actually exists. There's people out there that have like this super photographic memory. Mary Lehner is one of them. Like, she's a celebrity, and she actually has like this memory that she always remembers.
It's called eidetic memory.
Yes, there you go. Look at that. He has one step further, so he can remember anything presented to him. So if he had a dictionary, he can actually read through the dictionary and remember every single word. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's smart. He just remembers stuff.
Yeah.
And then we go down to Ed, which is based on the Godzilla movie, Godzilla's Revenge, I believe, where they had a little Chinese boy with a little baseball hat and little shorts. That was where I got his idea from, and that's why he looks like that. He is a 5-year-old boy, and because, as they say, the children have, at a certain age, they just have this imagination that you just can't put a bottle on. He has the ability, he's the most powerful one because he doesn't know any better because he's a 5-year-old kid. So he's able to astral project into people's dreams only when he's sleeping. He's able to project himself to people when they are awake, but he has to be sleeping. And he also has the ability to manifest whatever he wants under duress. So, for example, if he's locked in a box and he needs to get out, and it's a glass box, he needs a hammer will appear in his hand. He's able to break out from that.
Oh man, that's a lot of power.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but since he's 5, you know, and you don't know, that's what happens. So this is
Cool.
pages, colors by Hassan Godwin. We have letters by George Medina, who was a podcaster in his own right on Catch the Craze, and he just funded his own book, The Adventures of Wonder Duck. Hassan Godwin is a colorist. He's an artist, and he also has his show called Secrets of the Sire with Mike Dolce. So we have that. And then, of course, we have the inks by Peter Palmiotti.
It's me.
Yeah. Those are some good colors.
So the price range that we're looking for is just to get it colored, lettered, and printed. So, like I said, the pencils are done.
Inks for
so
issue
what's your goal?
It's $6,128.
Okay. How far are you?
Well, this is day 5, so we're just getting to the $700 mark.
We just got another pledge.
Yay!
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Check that out.
I did not notice that.
Just now?
Whee.
See? And that's why more people need to come on to Turaco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the rewards, as most campaigns do. One of the things we do for my radio show is that we have a Patreon page, and for $1 a month, you get a shout out. So I figured I'll throw that on here, throw in $1, you get a shout out on our show. You get $3 for the digital PDF of the comic book. $15 will get you the digital and physical comic book mailed to you. For $20, we have a Natasha Ash trading card. That's the main character. This is drawn by Brian Kong. He's a pretty well-known sports card, and actually he was a Marvel artist for a while.
Right.
With inks by Alex Rivera, the inker that's worked for Marvel in DC. And then we have for the big end stuff, you get original page of artwork because it's not digital; it's the physical pages that are actually done. We have all the pages that are there. You can get any one of the 22 pages. Signed by Pete, penciled and ink, so it's not digital. You get that. You get the comic and the digital PDF. And then for the big end stuff, now I don't know if you can do this at the same time. You get a clay statue, 5 inches of any character from the book. Now I'm holding up an example of the book of the clay statues. You want to move over to me for just a minute?
Yeah, let me hold on.
Oh, invisible.
There we go.
Oh, look at that.
So this is a 5-inch clay figurine. They are handmade, custom made.
Wow.
So you can see the detail.
You've marked the full screen.
Let me get my. Yeah, hold on, Pete. I've seen your show, Pete. You have technical difficulties too, huh? Trying to.
What are you talking about?
Trying to see how I can choose Mark only.
So everybody watching, just look really closely and you can see it.
Hold on.
Get closer to your TV.
Well, you're halfway there.
If you touch Mark's box, there's a box within Mark's box. You touch on that.
Is there?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like that's because I'm doing it on my phone, so it's a different setup.
Oh, maybe yeah. Maybe Marsh knows.
I think I know what I can do.
Invisible.
What did I do? Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop everyone out, but Mark.
Talk about the
I'm just gonna drop everyone out except Mark. And...
Okay.
Yeah, is that a good idea? I don't know if that's a good idea. So this is a. All right, it's your show. You do what you want, man.
Do it if it works.
Because
Yes, it was Britney Spears in the 90s. So this is a, like I said, handmade clay figurine. You can get of any character from the book, or you can get the evil Dronian. He's going to be a little larger, but it's 5 or 6 inch clay figurine, handmade, custom design. You can make whatever pose you want. And then, there we go. Look at that.
Yay!
You can see the detailed work on her.
Check that out.
It is high-end quality stuff. And like I said, this is just an example of what he does. That's Shadow Rabbit Art, www.shadowrabbitart. We have a link in the description.
There we go.
So you can see like the details and everything you get. And this was custom made for my character, Sunburst.
All custom handmade.
Yes, custom handmade to perfection. He's a perfectionist, so he loves doing that sort of thing.
Very cool.
And he will do that for you for $220. Then, if we go down a little more, if we go back to the screen, it's just
hold on. You just saw what it took just to get you on the.
Here we go. Here we go again.
So.
Well, hold on, because I need to add Peter, because I dropped him out.
There we go.
Welcome back, Peter.
Yay!
We missed you.
I'm glad it worked.
There we go.
So we go to the last bit, which is the.
It was just an excuse to drop out Pete.
Big one. So he will do Shadow Rabbit Art will do a diorama featuring all the characters, or he can do a 12-inch clay figurine of any of the characters in the book. You can.
Who is this again?
Shadow Rabbit. He's a clay figurine master. It's
okay.
Go down to the thing. There's a little link right there, so you can actually check out his stuff right here.
Cool.
And then, of course, we have the add-on of the Natasha Ash trading card. And like I was mentioning before about my graphic designer, she designed this whole page, and she also designed this. So even still, it's little things you wouldn't even think you need, but she designed this as well. And then we have my character, which is, you saw the clay figurine. We have a trading card for her as well. This was from the War of the Independents, which is a book by Red Anvil Comics about all the independent characters coming together. My character, Sunburst, made her first appearance in that book 100 years ago, which is awesome. And then we have a one stretch goal right now, which is if we make our goal, you get 6 different indie comics, because we know a whole bunch of indie comic creators. So you get 6 comics in addition, a total of 212 pages. And I have all the information of who they are below. We have Eagle Raven, Tall Tales, Tears of the Mother, Oswald Chronicles, The Edge, Storm Chasers #1, and Memoirs of an Angel. You get that. And then, like I said, once we hit that goal, we'll move on to the next stretch goal, which is you'll get issue 2, and then issue 3, and then issue 4, and then the entire trade. In this campaign, you don't have to pay anything extra. So if we get to that point, you just get a second book. You just get a third book. That's how you roll. And then obviously we have the creators. So we have me, and that's my character Sunburst, which is my first ever published book, which is the Phaser Sunburst crossover issue number 2. That cover art is by Jim Stranko, paid by RZG Comics. But this is this book here.
Who's that Chrome Dome there?
Peter Palmiotti right here.
Cool.
Godwin colorist, George Medina the letterer, and then Abby Gabato, the graphic designer. Like I said, this could not have been done without her, and she's in the Philippines.
Nice.
Yeehaw.
So yeah, that is the campaign, that is the project, that is the book.
All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're proud of it.
Nice. And for anyone who streams from their phone on StreamYard, you actually have to click on the guests box to do all that. So that's what I figured out. So next time someone's doing that, that's how you do it. And so all the suggestions in the chat, so like it's a different layout for me. There was no 3 dots. So yeah.
What
that's really
Dale
cool.
said, Peter looks tough in that picture, ready to punch somebody. This is actually, I actually inked an issue of Deadpool but it was never published. But a friend of mine colored. It was like a splash page, and that's an image from that. And I'll switch it out to actually something more designated.
You put the boob shot. Everybody loves the boob shot.
Yeah, everyone.
CB says like he fist fights before inking a page.
Fist fights. Yes, that's great.
Come on.
It's because my internet sucks, so you get a picture rather than my face.
Or you should do a picture that is your face. You should put that image up, and that'll be you right there, like that.
Me shocked.
What's that avatar?
Frozen.
Is that the thing in Deadpool? Your little avatar.
The thing in Deadpool. Yeah, they were fighting robots.
Like. Cool.
Cool.
It had half the Marvel universe at the time in it, but unfortunately, it was never published.
So basically, you're like the people that made the Batman movie. You made something and then just taken away.
So CB says the clay figurine is really cool. Custom jobs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really is.
Mars saying good luck changing the screen back.
A scale of what he can do. If you go to shadowrabbitart.com, it's amazing stuff that he has.
And CB says, I had trouble enlarging someone else's screen because I'm not the only one. Yes.
I never have trouble with that.
Sure,
never.
Pete, sure.
Not at all. Little did you know, Pete right here is perfect.
That's right.
He's practically perfect in every way.
Hey, Nelly's saying.
Peter Perfect Palmiotti.
What's
He's PPP.
Welcome, Nelly.
Right.
Hello, Nelly.
Nelly is a regular on Jeff Lafferty's stream. In the chat.
CB asks, what's next for Designated when it gets funded? Well, we have a big party plan. No.
It ships to you.
Yes, it does get shipped out, but like I said, it's a full story. So beginning, middle, end. I did put it in such a way that I could make a second series, which has just been sitting in the back of my head that I never actually wrote anything beyond the first 110 pages because that took a while just to get that out.
Yeah.
One of the things that was important to me was that the story made sense. So every time I was writing it, or anytime I had a question, I had to stop and answer why. So when I was rereading it to come back to the Kickstarter campaign, I started reading it, and I don't remember half the stuff I had written because this was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I started asking questions. I'm more critical now than I was back then, watching all these movies and stuff. And I'm like, why did I do that? That doesn't make sense. Why did I do that? And as I read it, it made sense. I was like, oh, I answered all my questions that I had. So I was like, wow, the story holds up. And that took forever. And I remember certain parts of times where you just hit like that writer's block, like, I need this to happen, but why do I need this to happen? So this has to happen. And why does this happen?
Yeah.
So every time it was so difficult just to get the whys down. So for the next issues, I would have the next series. It would be another. I would do another 5. I feel that's the perfect size to do it. But I really have just bare minimum ideas what would happen as we go forward.
Yeah, that's something that Anna and I have encountered writing Captain Goggles and Maskman also and the rebooted version where one of us will throw out an idea and the other one usually would be Anna is like, well, why does this work that way? What's the rules in this world? Why would they do that? And so it's something that we've gone through before, and and I'm just like, I don't know, just do it.
But sometimes I don't know how Star Wars fans you are, but if you look at the last Star Wars
movie,
Star Wars
here.
Okay.
What?
I haven't seen the last Star Wars movie, but I was a big fan of the original
Okay.
trilogy up to like some certain parts. I haven't seen all of them, so I can't speak for like the last two. But
What about you, Anna?
I did see them.
Okay. So, agree with me or disagree. The last movie that they just made, did you find it was just a series of events, not a story?
I kind of do see it as a little bit more like a series of events, and it felt a lot like they were kind of disconnecting it from like the previous Star Wars movies that had been made by George Lucas and all of that. They were a continuity. They felt like a self-enclosed story. And then adding on to that by making these latest, actually I would say last two movies, it felt like they were kind of introducing a lot of completely new characters, and it was sort of, it's good, but mostly good as like a standalone Star Wars. Almost feels like a spin-off rather than a continuation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So each event was like, well, why does this happen? And the answer is because the next event has to happen. Like, yeah. So there's not. So I think it hurts when you have a situation when you're constantly questioning things and you don't get an answer beyond so the movie can happen, or like it's really frustrating when you watch something like that. So, well, why did they do that? Because that way then the bad guys won't win, or that kind of thing. So I kind of went overboard with why certain things happen in the movie, even in the comic. Even one of the things that I had an argument with. One of the times we were going to try, I was working with a publisher to try to get it done. Their editor was like, why is the person in a coma for 3 months? Like, why did you have him in 3 months? It should be 2 months or 1 month. And I was like, well, because she needs to be out for a certain amount of time. And we establish that when she gets back, one of her gut
the suspense
is that wasn't paying for rent. And if people know, you don't get eviction process starts for 3 months. So it has to be 3 months.
You froze a little bit.
Oh, so you missed my big revelation.
We missed a key detail. The suspense.
We got that. So she was in her coma for 3 months, and it had to be 3 months because that's when the eviction process kicks in.
Right. So in the story, when she comes back, we needed time for her to try to get evicted, for fortune to go along her way, and then we needed time for the bad guys to get to the planet Earth. So I had to make space, and so I was like, well, if it's space, then it's because of the eviction, and because of the eviction, it's because of 3 months. That's why it has to be 3 months. It can't be 2 months. It can't be 4 months. It has to be 3 months, or else she won't have a home to go to. If it's 4 months. Or if it's 2 months, then it's not enough time. So those are little small things, which nobody would know, nobody would even pay attention to. But the editor was like, it should be less time for her to getting out of the hospital. And I was like, no, and that was why. So stuff like that.
Yeah, it had to be that time. And CB says, Mark, are you gonna buy in bulk so as to have extra copies for conventions and such?
I haven't really thought of that. Maybe. Usually. Whenever we attend conventions, it's usually covering it for the radio show, so we hardly ever have tables. The last time I had a table was pre-pandemic, so and that's still just to promote the radio show. So maybe we might. I haven't really thought that far ahead.
Howdy, Sideburns.
Howdy. Hey,
CB
Sideburns.
is also saying, oh wait, wrong one. I like the way you think, Mark. Having a purpose behind why you show something in a story is important.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy it too. The details when you're reading. It honestly gives it rereadability because there's more things that you'll catch and you'll be like, this is why the author did it this way. It's really cool.
And my hope is that I translated it well enough so that people will pick it up. There's a certain thing that most of the story takes place within like a day because things just happen. And that's what life is. Things just kind of happen. Nobody sits around and explains stuff. And while there is exposition, we're doing it in a way that person's like, what the hell is going on? It's like, well, what's going on is this. Or this is why this is happening, from the guy who would know. And people don't have answers that wouldn't have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's another important thing. It's like sometimes you just get an exposition where two characters who shouldn't know what's going on know what's going on because they need to know what's going on, or else the movie won't happen.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how did they figure that out?
Yeah. Like, oh, he'll kill you in your sleep. How do you know that? How did you figure that out?
What's that meme? I think it's a Dragon Ball meme. Like, how do you know the parts that you weren't there for?
Right. So this is probably the first book that people will get to know your work, Mark. I'm asking a question for the panel. So why should people take a chance on you as opposed to the other 86,000 Kickstarters happening right now?
Well, one of the things is because the book is finished. I liked. No, it's a good question. I liked. One of the things is I've heard a lot about Kickstarter stories, and I heard a lot about you make one issue and it's never done. The book is done. We have the pages. The story is written. That's right there. It's like when you go to a convention and you see a guy. Oh, I have issue 1. If you have issue 1, 2, 3, 4 on the table, they're more likely to look. It's like, oh, well, it's a full story. I'll get issue 1 now. I'll come back for issue 2 if I like it, whatever. But if you see he only has issue 1, like, I'm still working on issue 2. Maybe in 2 or 3 years I'll have it. You don't want to even care for issue 1.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things that we have over, I would say, a sizable portion of the other comics on Kickstarter is that it's done. We have the book. You read the book. You know.
Yeah. I read the whole thing and back 30 years ago, whatever it was. And it's definitely a great story. Mark is a really good writer, and it's filled with great characters and great aliens and good action. And yeah, I mean, it's a book. I really hope that we get funded, no problem, and we're able to do issue 2, 3, 4, 5 and get the whole story out. And so Mark can go on and do his other 100 books that he wants to do next.
101.
What's the time frame of the campaign? Like, how long is it going to go for?
We end on the 30th, so we have 25 more days to go. Plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
How
soon after it's funded do you plan on?
Help spread the word.
I heard 2 things at the same time. What was that?
Yeah. Pete.
Go ahead,
Pete, it's my show. Give me a minute.
No, we have 2 ears. We should be able to hear 2 things at the same time.
How soon after it's funded do you plan on putting it out?
Well, I know I put December just because of paper shortages and stuff, and I wanted to make sure. What is it? Under promise and over deliver. I think that's the rule. So I put December because it seems far enough away. But if you get it before December, it shouldn't be a problem. I think we should be able to do it. I would say, what is it, August? So you should be getting it out by middle September, end September. That's my guess. But I put December just to play it safe.
Okay, cool. Pete,
even the great guy, he does a great turnaround time. So if you make a statue, he'll get it out in time. And we have the original artwork already ready, so we can just mail that out right now.
Yeah.
Yay!
What did I ask? I forget.
They will be wet.
I don't know. If anyone remembers.
Any other things that I've written? I know the other comic that I wrote, the one I was pointing to, the Phaser Sunburst Water Independence issue number 2 crossover is out there somewhere in the universe. I only have 2 copies of myself, so there's no link to it. If you Google it, I'm sure you can find it and buy it, maybe. I know RZG Comics doesn't even exist anymore, so I don't even know how you can get a copy beyond what I have.
eBay.
Like I said, I only got 2.
All right, I do remember what I was saying. Everybody watching either live or watching after the fact, please, grab the link and share it out on your social. The more people that see this, the more chance we have of getting this funded. That's essentially what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes, and I'll be sharing it as well on Twitter and on Facebook.
Awesome. One of the things we always say on the show that I do, when you look at any type of independent creator, you don't know what your financial situation, you don't know what anybody else's financial situation is. If you can't even afford $1, don't worry about it. Just share it. That means more than you not getting something from the dollar menu or not getting a burger or a soda or something. Share it out there, because somebody who you don't even know or you might know might be interested in it and might have $1 to spare.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the sharing is the most important thing that people always tend to forget. It's like, pledge. If you can, great. If you can't, share it out there. That's what I always find is the most important thing.
Right on.
And yes, that is it. Amazon, Facebook War, Independence Crossover Sunburst. Yes, that is it, Dale. Well done, Dale.
Nice. Great
Well
job,
done.
Dale.
I don't know if you can buy it. Is it in stock?
That was getting a promotion. Let me see. Let me go check on. I wasn't saying.
And if it is in stock, I wonder who gets paid.
One used, one new.
It's $13.84.
$13? Wow.
And used is 10, but I'm assuming it's 10 plus $5 shipping. So let's see first. But yeah, some here it is.
Yeah, that is it.
Cool.
Wow.
You want? Let me show.
And that was co-written.
My book,
yeah, just putting that out there. It's co-written.
My book, I think I have like 7 copies left. But one of my friends was saying like, "Oh, cool! I want to buy your book." Like, okay, yeah. And I told him, because I know he has family members that are into comics. He's like, and that's why I told him, "Oh, have you told him about it?" No, I want you to tell them because it's your book. I had nothing to do with it. No, that's how this works. It's word of mouth. You tell people. Like, I don't have I'm not Marvel. I'm not DC. I don't have a huge company. It's like, so I count on word of mouth, and I market as much as I can. But if people actually like it and tell people, that helps more.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's
you just go door to door.
Spread the word. I know.
Have you heard about my comic?
That's the new Jehovah's Witness.
I'm a comic witness.
You leave the comic tract in the door.
Oh, by the way, we still have 7 copies on Etsy. So pick it up. 32 page, $20.
Woo-hoo.
And I
you actually get the
sketch
money
on the back and I sign it. Yes. Yes, it's actually just what
the Captain Goggles LLC, right? That's
Anna gets some money too. So.
Yay!
I think like $1.
$1 for every 100 sold.
Yeah.
And I only did
Totally.
35 copies.
Part of the proceeds go to Anna. Book sold.
It's a charity.
What part is undetermined, but a part. No, shoot. Anyway, Nelly Singh says, Peter Retro greetings. I do agree. A picture of never mind.
I'll get a picture next time.
That is a picture of him just after the time has passed.
Well, yeah.
Since that last picture that we saw.
I didn't shower. I had all these rocks all over me.
It's a good pic.
He's been fighting.
Yep. Gibran says, I get 10%.
Yeah. Speaking of...
Welcome, Gibran. Share our book out, Gabe.
Yeah. Gabe, you should ask Joe Jeff about.
Yeah, have us on.
And designated.
Yeah.
The Oddcast.
I'll go on anybody's show. I'm open to go on anybody's show.
I'm a comic whore.
Cool.
Have you been on a few shows already? I think I did see you on, was it CB Smallwood's show?
Yes, we did 4. This is our 5th live stream I've done so far this week for the promotion. And I have another 15 more to go.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. It's the designated tour.
Yeah, it's a promotional tour. That's the key. You gotta go everywhere. You gotta promote it. You gotta get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
Because algorithms are not your friend.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
So yeah, the book does sound cool, and it what's even cooler is that it's done. so like you say, you're not waiting for pages to be finished. It's already done.
Yeah, I mean, Pete's already working on issue 2 and 3, and probably has some pages that are done further down. It's like, oh, I did this one already. Next.
That's always great.
We got a few people in the chat.
Hello, Landon.
Huber.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello, Landon. Thanks for coming in.
All right. So Landon came in right at the end. And Gib just shared the link as well. That's right.
Check it out.
Gib is also a mod. So
thank you, Gib.
Yeah.
It is appreciated.
Any links you want to share, Gib, feel free. Share your link to your eBay store, Gib.
He's selling some art now, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a Lobo and some other pieces. I think Marsh bought one of something from him recently.
Cool.
So yeah, people are selling their stuff, selling their wares. Nice. I was gonna show a sketch card that I'm selling on Etsy, but I think it's in the kitchen. So it's a Maskelman card, so if you want to buy it.
We'll wait.
Anyways,
were you working in the kitchen?
I keep all my sketch cards in a binder.
Oh, okay.
And I left it in the kitchen. Mark, my apartment, all my apartment is my studio. I vinked in the kitchen. I've drawn here. I've streamed in the living room before. And so like, it's a small apartment. The whole thing is my studio. There's you should see. There's laptops and monitors on the kitchen. I don't even eat on the table. I eat on the stove because I got so much work. My whole office is over there. My second office, my printer, my other laptop, and my monitor, and a bunch of papers. Is there any other questions from the chat?
Yeah, CB right here. You'd like to hear more about It Came From the Radio. Which, honestly, that's a good question.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask more about your radio show.
So It Came From the Radio is an actual radio show. We are on 88.1 FM WARY in Westchester County, New York. If you live in that area, you can hear us every weekday night, Monday to Friday. Otherwise, we're on we're on a couple of online radio stations. Sci-Fi.radio Wednesdays at 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Indie Vault 6 p.m. on Fridays, and BTD Radio on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we're also on about 43 different podcast places. So if you have Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places, just Google It Came From the Radio, our show will come up. It's different now than what we started with, even when we were doing it in the studio because of the pandemic. So we're kind of guerrilla style, the show now. We have a news segment, and then we have a father-daughter combo segment called Jay Bird and Lee, and they talk about what's in their world. So we want to get an opinion of a preteen girl. I think she just turned 17, 18, I think. So we get her insight and her dad talk about movies and stuff that they talk about. They talk about old movies, new movies, things they experience. So we get that portion. And then we have an interview, maybe 2, depending on how long they are. We do actors, we do creators, filmmakers, we do event organizers. Like I said, we had big names, little names, anybody you can think of, as long as they have a product and they seem interesting, I'm more than happy to talk to them. What's interesting is that putting it together, guerrilla style, is very odd. I used to do it live. So we were live, 1 hour on the radio. We have to start when we have to start. People show up late, doesn't matter. You go. And now because of the pandemic, it's a little different. You remember, hey Pete, you remember that time that I had to pick you up and we were racing down to the city to get there?
Yeah. Last minute.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think something had happened, and I was going one way, and he called me. He's like, I can't make it to the studio in time. You got to come pick me up. So I had to turn the car around. I had to drive all the way back to get him, and then head down there. And what's weird is that I have it's my show, and the best thing about my show is that it's my show. But the worst thing about my show is that it's my show. So if I'm not there, it's like, leaving the people in charge who know nothing about what's going on.
Oh.
They listen to the show, they're part of the show, but if I leave them in charge, okay, I can't be on this week, I'm going to be late. It's a train wreck when I leave them alone, so I can't leave them alone. I mean, it's nice to know that I'm needed, but it's also terrible that without me, it falls apart. So having, So having the guerrilla style is a little different now, and we still do a live show courtesy to East Meadow Public Library in Long Island, New York, the second Wednesday of every month. We have a live show. It's at 7 p.m. every Wednesday Eastern Standard Time. The next one is on the 10th. It's this upcoming Wednesday. We have an actress and filmmaker that she's going to be on, Jerry Glennon, I believe her name is. And that is, once again, it's an hour straight, how I like to do it.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I miss
for an hour as well.
Me and Belkis.
Mark said, "Do you tell them about the comic on the radio show?" So,
yes, I have been promoting my comic. We have a new segment that we usually start the show with. You have to think, when we started the show, it was about like 20 years ago. The idea was that it was going to be kind of like The View. So we had different people from different walks of life, and we all talked about comics and stuff. And even then, it was structured and segmented. So we had intro segment, new segment, and we had the guests. Okay. So now we still do an intro segment and a news segment. So I go through the entire week looking up news items, different things that I think that my panel will be interested in. And I don't tell them ahead of time. So whatever reactions I get is that fresh reaction. And a lot of times I think they're going to go one way and they don't. It's very entertaining. So we have different departments of each news item. And the departments is just some made up name. But sometimes we talk about certain things over and over again. So one department we have is the shameless self-promotion department. So in the shameless self-promotion portion of the news, I talk about my book.
There you go.
Nice.
Oh, interesting. So let's see. Let's check. Any more questions in the chats? Because we're about to wrap up. And
Anna, what questions do you have?
Let's see. Oh, I do have one. And you kind of covered it earlier a little bit because we did go over a lot of things over the last hour and 8 minutes. But what was kind of like your big influences that got you to be interested in comics in the first place? Because I heard that you went and you were really into them, but like, what were some of your like big influences? What kind of got you into that mindset, I guess?
When I was a kid, my earliest memory of a TV show, I was 4 years old. It was the Incredible Hulk TV show. So right there and then, I was sucked in on TV and Hulk, and he was my favorite character. And then you watch a lot of other stuff. There was The Impossibles. It was a cartoon from Hanna-Barbera that had 3 superheroes, Fluid Man, Coil Man, and Multi-Man. And then it was Birdman. When I watched that stuff, it was reruns. So I think they were made in the 60s and 70s, but then they came out towards the end of the 70s. And then Spider-Man and Amazing Friends. So I started watching all that kind of cartoon stuff, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I want to do that. And then I believe my first comic was Power Man and Iron Fist. And then I fell in love with the Hulk comic. Like, oh, there's comic books about these characters. I can go get me comics. And picked up a Spider-Man comic book. I was more of a Marvel than a DC guy. But the Peter David run on the Incredible Hulk was a huge influence on me. It's one of my favorite when they made the Gray Hulk. That was kind of him doing it. Fantastic Four, and that kind of segued into me wanting to do more of that. I wanted, yes, Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles, exactly.
Oh yeah,
I love that theme song. That was the catchiest theme song when they had the show, and it was just one of those things that you just really get into it. And from then I was like, I want to do this. And you know, you have other people when you're growing up, you're like, oh, I want to be a fireman. I want to do comics. I want to be in comics. So even going to school, I was like, I want to be in comics. I drew little comic books for myself. So this actually, I've never told this story on the show or
oh boy, exclusives.
Now I don't remember exactly how old I was, but there was a math book where you had to tell time with the clock. You had to draw in the little arrows and what have you. And in the math book, which I would love to see this math book now to see if it matches up with my memory, but it had to have been first grade, second grade that you're learning how to tell time with the hands on the clock. And it had a little superhero on the top of the page, and it said it's not 8 o'clock or whatever, and I haven't saved anyone yet. And I was like, I really like that image, and so I traced that image, and that became my very first superhero that I ever created. And remember, this is, like I said, first and second grade. So I'm like 7 years old. And his name was ASF. And because based on that one image, I came up with, who he was, what powers he had. And I was like, I know he's going to be Aquaman, Superman, and the Flash put together. So that's ASF. Not realizing that, Superman is as fast as the Flash. So it's kind of redundant to be as fast as Superman, as fast as Flash, but this is a stupid kid, coming up with this idea. And then from there, I came up with other ideas. And so I had the Incredibles. I made up a team of Incredibles, and one of my characters, since I was such a Hulk fan, I made a character that somehow, some way, he got incorporated into the Marvel Universe, and he was with Bruce Banner, and he got bombarded with the gamma rays, and then at the same time, the rocket ship from the Four crashed, and the radiation from the cosmic rays also irradiated him. So he was a combination of the Hulk and the Thing, and he was the incredible hulking Thing.
Yeah, so there you go. You got a classic right there.
Yeah, so I had tons and tons of stuff like that. So I was always drawing these little stupid comic books that rip off of characters like I had an Iron Man rip off. His name was Mr. Tin. So but it's kid. But I was always drawing those types of comics, and then I was learning about story, and I was writing and creating those stories. So I have tons and tons and tons of those characters, and then I wound up going to the comic book school, and that was when I learned, this is not how you do it. You do it like this. I was like, oh, you have to write a script? I thought you just made it up as you go along. I didn't know you had to do all this extra work. What the hell is all that about? You can't just
that's how I do it.
Comics are just 100% fun. Every part of the process you completely enjoy. It's all just fun.
So
oh no.
So at the time, what was it? The big the crisis. All the comic books were merging together in universes and stuff. So I had my own little merging of my universes, all my characters, and I realized that if I'm gonna be take this seriously and be a professional, none of these characters are going to be able to see the light of day because I'll get sued up the wazoo. So I picked a handful of characters that were distant enough, but they were still in that universe. And I made a story that I have written and drawn of how they go from one universe into the real world, where real things make sense and stuff happens. So there was in the comic, the world was ending, the universe was all getting destroyed by this character, and these, I think 4 characters made it through to the real world, and that would be how the adventures would start. Now, because ASF was my very first character, and there was no way I could let him die, I had to sit back and once again the why. So I had came up with the idea in the comic book school of these stories, and then I was able to start incorporating other characters from the other universe into it and explain why. So he's still ASF because that's still a name I can use. And I decided, how would he be ASF, but he wouldn't be Aquaman, Superman, and Flash, and so I thought that he's going to fight my main characters because the transition for him going to the universe that I had made to the real world where all the other characters are made him a little crazy, and he became an amazingly superior force. And so that's how he got dubbed ASF. He's an amazing superior force.
Oh man.
What school
That's
did
a
you
great
go to?
story.
What comic school did you
What
go
was
to?
that? New York Academy of Comic Art. New York Academy of Comic Art and Fantasy Illustration. It no longer exists. Actually, do you remember there was a campaign for Coca-Cola where they had football stars, and they got into like this machine and tournaments like Monsters. I don't know if you remember that. It was a small campaign that they had that if you it was like it was always Coca-Cola. So you had like Jerry Rice, and he was like, "Hey, I'm Jerry Rice," and he steps into this machine and he comes out as like a zombie Jerry Rice. If you look online, you can see it like zombie Jerry Rice Coca-Cola. You could see the commercials, and the guy who made the special effects was the guy who created that school. So he was already running. Yes, he was already running a special effects workshop, and he thought, "Hey, I can make a comic book school," and so that's what he did. Do you know Russ Braun from He Draws the Boys? He's a pretty well-known Marvel artist.
Right.
He was one of the teachers there, and yeah, and that's how I met Russ, and that's how I've known Russ all these years later.
Wow,
that's pretty cool. I did have a question towards me, so I want to answer this real quick. Frank, how did you come up with Captain Goggles? Like this on the show. I just put on goggles.
was it like Dale who said Captain Goggles and Mask Woman?
Dale came up with the names. But we were already wearing the stuff, so he just said it because we're doing this already. Now, how did we turn it into a story? That's a whole different thing, and we don't have time right now. That might be for another thing. So I think it's time to wrap it up. Mark, thank you for coming. Let's just do the rounds, and Mark, we'll start with you. Where can we find you?
So as we always say on our show, you just Google "It Came from the Radio" is the simplest way. Usually we're in the first page. The name is "It Came from the Radio." Usually on Twitter and Facebook. We have an Instagram page. I hardly use Instagram, but it's Facebook and Twitter. Live show every new show every Monday. We release a new show every Monday. So if you live in Westchester County, 88.1 FM WARY. If not, you can just find us on the internet and YouTube's. Live shows courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library the second Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's www.eastmeadow.info. You can actually register, and you can be a part of the virtual audience because of the pandemic, we're virtual now instead of actually in the library. And then there's Designated, the book we have until the 30th. Please share it out there. Help me get this 30-year-old baby born and birthed into the universe. It would be greatly appreciated.
Right on.
And Pete.
I am Peter Palmiotti everywhere on the internet, mostly Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And just take a look at a book, fall in love, buy a couple of copies, and give one to your mom.
And grandma.
Ooh.
And grandma.
And siblings and cousins and all of the above. And an uncle if you can.
Yes.
And go check out Wildcat.
Okay, so I found the commercial.
There is links to the Kickstarter in the chats, in the description, everywhere. So you can just go find it, go back it. That sounds like a really cool story. And Anna, where can we find you?
We gotta say hi to some goofball who has internet. Enters dramatically.
Hold on.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mark just sent a link here, so I'm gonna grab it.
So I found the link of one of the commercials. That's what I was talking about. So that was the the guy who ran the comic book school.
Nice.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check it out. And so Anna, yeah, where can we find you
now? You can find me at Anna Raub, but I think it's Stream Hatchling now on Instagram, and then I think my YouTube is still Anna Raub. Though there's a link tree thingy that's probably under the show or somewhere. And I'm working on a website, so I'll update you guys when I have it built.
Woo, woo.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, you can just go there to the TuracoCreativeCast link tree. All our stuff is in there. And if you want to get the comic Captain Goggles and Mask Woman, there's a sketch card up there, so many comics up there. You can go to the link tree Turaco Comics. I got all my stuff there. I also have digital comics on Gumroad. I got my channel Salazar Nation, but I'm not on here. My Instagram, so you can always reach out to me on Instagram. Find me on YouTube. I don't really check my messages on Twitter, but I do post there and check there every once in a while. So you can just find me and tag me. And I think that's it. We had CB Smallwood in the chat, so there's a link to Wildcat in the description as well. So go back it. We want to see that funded. Peter worked on that as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it. And checking if there's anything in the chat.
I'm going to say pleasure meeting you too, Nelly Sings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Nelly.
Thank you for joining us, everyone in the chats.
And we're saying goodbye. So long. Farewell. We'll see you next time on the next Turaco Creative Cast. See you later, guys.